Hello, my name is Keshwani. There's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for the TEAS. We have been solving math problems out of this book here, the study manual for the TEAS. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problem that we are about to solve is the one that you will find on page number 98. Please turn to it. Page number 98, and today is our lesson number 44. On page 98, we are given the raw data, 20 scores or 20 test scores of the students, and our job is to somehow present this raw data in something more palatable, something that is easy to understand, easy to analyze just by visual inspection. And we're going to do that. We're going to analyze this thing. We're going to present this thing first in the form of frequency distribution, then we're going to represent this data in the form of a bar graph, and finally we're going to represent this data in the form of a pie chart, even though the book does not ask you for all this thing. So let's get going. First, the frequency distribution. So here's our grade. A, B, C, D, and F. And we're going to define the grades as A being the scores in the 90s, B being the oldest scores in the 80s, C being oldest scores in the 70s, and then 60s, and anything below 60, we're going to define that as F. And here is the frequency. And this thing that you see here is what is known as frequency distribution. Frequency distribution. So if somebody gives us raw data like we are given here, and they ask us for the frequency distribution of this raw data, this is what they're looking for. So you determine the intervals where you want to classify each segment. That's up to you. And here the intervals are 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s, and below 60s. And then you just count how many observations fall in each of those intervals. That's all. So let's get going, shall we? We're going to count all the scores that are in the 90s. Okay, so do it with me here. We're going to do it together. So here I see a 98. We see a 99 here. I see a 91. Anything else? Did we miss anything? I see a 93 here. And finally I see a 100 here. And since 100, we don't want to have the 100 by itself, we're going to make 100 into an honorary 99. Okay, we're going to count 100 as 99s. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that it? And 6, you see? It's very important that we pay attention, because that's the only reason why you're going to get this wrong. These questions are very straightforward, very simple. The only reason people get them wrong is because of the carelessness. Make sure you don't miss anything. The reason I missed that is because I wasn't going in a systematic manner. I should have gone by the columns. So here are the 5 columns here, organized. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and finally 6, because we are counting 100 as 99. So there are 6 of them. 80s, how many 80s are there? So we have 82 here. I see an 88, I see an 86, I see an 82. There are no 80s in the last column. So there are 4 of them apparently. There are 4 observations in the 80s. Let's do the 70s now. In the 70s, I see a 70 here, 76, 73, and a 76. Looks like there are 4 observations that fall in the 70s. Let's do the 60s now. Let's do the 60s. I see a 65 here, a 61 here, a 63, and that's about it. There are 3 60s. And finally, anything that falls below 60. So we have taken care of all of these things, all of these. There you go. There is one right here. How are we going to present this thing? I'm going to put a triangle on them. This is taken care of, these are taken care of, these are taken care of. Oh, there is one more. So we see 3 figures in the triangles. Those are the ones that are below 60. That's it. That's your frequency distribution. Now we're going to represent this thing in the form of the bar graph. So let's do that. And of course we need the room, and we're running out of room here, so I'm going to have to erase all of this thing. We're done. We have analyzed this thing. It's right here. We don't need that information anymore. Let's represent this information in the form of bar graph, shall we? And once we have the bar graph, then we're going to put the pie chart here in a second. Bar graph is very straightforward. The frequency goes on the y-axis. So on the y-axis we have the frequency, and on the x-axis we have the grades. Oh, for Christ's sake, how can I muck up the spelling of grades? It's so simple. Here we go. So how many A's do we have? We have 6 A's. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 A's. Those are A's. How many B's do we have? We have 4 B's and 4 C's. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 B's. And 4 C's. So that was simple. And then we have 3 D's and 3 F's. 3 D's and finally 3 F's. I hope you're able to look at the blackboard that far out. I hope I didn't cut it off the border there in the camera. But anyway, that's it. That's your bar graph. That's how simple it is. Your A, B, C, D, and F. That's all. Your A, these are B, our C, our D, and finally our F's. That's all. Now let's represent the same thing in the form of a pie chart. The same data in the form of a pie chart. And which way you choose to depict your given data, which way you choose to display this thing, it's a matter of choice. It's a matter of choice, and it's a matter of choice. It's your call. It's a call that you make, depending on who your target is going to be, who your audience is going to be, and depending on who the audience is, you make that call as to what might be easier for them to look at, or what might be more palatable for them. That's all it is. It's not a big deal. Let's do a pie chart. Now, in order to come up with a pie chart, the column that we need are the percentages, because in the pie chart what happens is that we have a circle, and the entire circle represents 100%, and we have to categorize the area of this circle in terms of percentage of what each of them are going to occupy. So the next bit of information that we need here for the pie chart, if you want a pie chart, we're going to need one more column which will represent the percentage of each of these grades. So let's do that. Before we can do the percentage, we have to know the total number of students, which we already knew from 20 from earlier. But here we go. 6 plus 4 is 20. 6 plus 4 is 10, and then 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 plus 4 is another 10, so it's 20. Of course it's 20 because we knew that all along. So the first one is going to be 6 out of 20. 6 out of 20 is same as 3 out of 10. So it looks like A's are 30%. B's are going to be 4 out of 20, which is same as 2 out of 10, which is 20%, which is B. Let me erase this word here. So again, on y-axis, what we are showing are the frequencies. Frequencies, I should say, plural, but I didn't do it here. There are grades. Just like here, it doesn't say grade, it says grade. It should be frequencies. Then we have C, which is same as before. C is also going to be 20% because it's the same number, 4. This is 3 out of 20. 3 out of 20. 3 out of 20 is going to be 3 out of 10 is 30%. 3 out of 10 is 30%. 3 out of 10 is 30%. It is half of that, you see. So it's 15%. 15% is D and 15% is F. This is what we need to do our pie chart. This is the information we need to do our pie chart. Now we're going to erase all of this thing so we can use this space here. That's it. All of this thing is gone. And now we depict this percentages in the area of the circle. So let's get going. So here is our circle. Break it up into 4 parts to begin with. So each of these parts, of course, represents 25% of the circle. We have, for the first one we have is 30%. So what I'm going to do here is to break this up into 3 equal parts. Let's see what we can do here. 1, 2 and 3. There you go. It looks like 3 equal parts here. No, not 3 equal parts. Oh, blasted, not 3 equal parts. That's wrong. This is 25%. Each quarter of the circle is 25%. I need to break it up into 5 equal parts because we need 5%. We need 5%. This is 25%. We need 30%. So I need 5 more percentage here. So not 3 equal parts, but 5 equal parts. I don't know what I was thinking. I need to break it up into 5 equal parts. And just eyeball it. As long as you're reasonable, it's okay. So I'm going to do it here. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. There you go. That looks pretty reasonable to me. So this area that you see there, this slice that we see here is 5%. And this, of course, this quarter of the circle, of course, is 25%. So together both of these things should represent 30%, which is A. So that takes care of A. Now listen very carefully. Similarly, the second quarter, there are 4 quarters obviously. The second quarter we have taken out a slice of 5%. Listen carefully. We have taken out a slice of 5%, which means by definition the remaining must be 20%. This remaining must be 20%. Similarly, if we extend this out, this angle are equal to each other, and therefore if this is 5% and this must be 5%. We'll come to that in a second. This is 20%, that's UB right there. That's UB. That's RB. How can we show it? That's RB. C is also 20%. So if this is 5%, that part is also 20%. This part right here, this part is also 20%, and that can be our C. Now we are left with D and F 15 each. Get this in carefully, 15 each. This is 5. This slice is 5%. This circle is 25%. 25 plus 5 is 30. And we need to break it up into 15 and 15. This remaining 30% here, this is 25%, of course, the quarter of the circle. This slice is 5%. 25 plus 5 is 30. That's exactly what we need here, 15 and 15, which means we need to break this area into half. So let's do that. You're going to break it into half. Looks like, oh, why don't we do this? Looks like, that looks reasonable. So there is your 15% for D, and there is your other 15% for F. There you go, that's it, we're done. This is how the pie graph should look like. And that's all there is. Pie graph, sometimes they call it pie chart, it's up to you. On the blackboard I have written down here pie chart, sometimes some people call it pie graph, it doesn't matter. I will see you tomorrow, where we'll continue with the next page. We have 3 more to go. Alright? Bye now.